let's just start at the beginning. I Saw the TV Glow is a psychological horror drama. It was written and directed by Jane Schobran. I'm doing my best to come into this movie review with no prior knowledge. All I know is that it was directed by somebody who said that this is explicitly a trans allegory. On its face, though, the actual movie, what it's about, it's supernatural stuff happening. There is a teenager, Owen, who is the main character. He has a friend called Maddie, and they both like this TV show called The Pink Opaque. The Pink Opaque seems like it's just kind of a weirdly freaky TV show for it being on the young adult network. It's like if you were a teenager and Fear Street novels were being made into nighttime entertainment television for teenagers. Goosebumps is one thing, Fear Street's another. If you know, you know. So The Pink Opaque is like supernatural, like two girls team up. They have psychic abilities. They're in the psychic plane. They can communicate to each other. They meet at sleepaway camp, and then later they're like, we're gonna bust all these crimes and we're gonna defeat Mr. Melancholy and all of his minions. So that's what's happening in the TV show, right? It's just a TV show, right? Right. But then weird stuff starts happening outside of the TV show, and we start to question, is what's happening in the Pink Opaque real? What is real? And all throughout these questions, these themes, these mysteries around what is real, underneath the surface, all of this is a trans allegory. Basically, if we take the movie at face value, if we are to understand that what it's doing is telling a story about something that's actually happening. Because the first time I watched this movie, I was like, is Maddie crazy? Like, what is actually occurring? And I think what the movie is saying is that the Pink Opaque is real. What seems real is the midnight realm. That's the fake life. That's the simulation you're living in, where seconds are prolonged into months, years even, decades. And in the real world, you're dying, you're suffocating. The real world you don't even know about the real you. You're so caught up in this web of lies, this world that has been constructed for you, these memories that have been planted in your mind. None of it is real. You need to get back. You have to return to your body. Mr. Melancholy has cut out your heart, and you have to go back. He's buried you alive. You can't breathe. And yet, there is question as to whether the main character even thinks that all that stuff is real. When directly confronted, when you directly find out that it is real, how do you confront that? Do you confront that? Or do you say, I can't deal with this? It's like the Drain Lords. If I just don't think about it, it's not real. If I just don't think about it, it won't come for me. There's also a ton of symbolism in this movie. One of the strongest forms of symbolism, to me, is the coloring in this movie, the color. You know, it's something I complained about. I recently reviewed Close to You with Elliot Page. It's something that I complained about, that movie is all natural light. It's all kind of drab. It's all overcast days. Even the supposedly happy life that the trans man is living, it's still the same kind of monotone. Like, you can use color to tell a story. And in this story, the colors we see most often are green and pink. We also have some scenes with blue, primary like blue color, and one scene in particular where everything is red. Green in movies is associated with discomfort. It's associated with a feeling of wrongness. Go back and watch the first Matrix movie. Everything that happens before Neo knows who he is has this gross green cast. It's uncomfortable, it's unsettling. It's a color of sickness. There is one scene where there's a ton of green, but it's warmly lit, showing us that green can also be a color of hope and change and finding yourself. So long as you're in the sunshine, green is a happy color. But in these buildings, within these walls, within these constructs, green means unsettled. It means wrong. Something is wrong. And at the same time, you have this faint pink glow, because this is a movie ultimately about growing up as a trans girl, in denial perhaps, unaware perhaps, Every one of your memories is tinged pink. Because even as you're trying to go through the world and you're being taught these messages, you're walking down a hallway, like in this film, filled with messages telling you to be a man. Veni vidi vici, carpe diem. Pain is weakness leaving the body. And yet, every single one of those messages that's telling you to buck up, that's telling you to be courageous, that's telling you how to be honorable as a man, all of it is tinged pink. All of it is tinged with the real. You're absorbed into what is false, but you know on some profound level what is right, what is real, what is true. That's the pink opaque. The pink opaque is real. What you think is real is the midnight realm. The first time Owen actually gets to watch the pink opaque, his parents won't let him stay up that late on a Saturday night. He lies to his parents, he goes to a sleepover, he watches it for the first time, and we get this image of an ice cream truck on fire. There's no flames, but it's on fire. It's smoking. Harshly lit, green and pink. This is the moment where the curtain has been lifted. It's like a car crash. It's happened. And now you have to deal with the reality. When you are a young boy watching a show that your dad won't let you watch because isn't that show for girls? But that first time, having a sleepover with other girls, watching a girly TV show, getting to participate in girly activities like trying to decide which boys you like.
I like Michael Stipe.
This is the moment where reality comes barging in, where your self-illusions can't hold themselves anymore. Your childhood has ended. Your innocence has ended. It's on fire. And now for the rest of your life, you will be dealing with the knowledge of this incongruity between, okay, I was born a boy, I'm supposed to be a boy, but now you know. Now you know who you actually are underneath it all. You have an awareness, and you can choose to pursue that, or you can choose to ignore it and hope it goes away. One scene is lit in red, and that I think is the turning point scene. So when they were kids, Maddie said that she wanted to run away.
I'm getting out of this town. I'll die if I stay here. I don't know how exactly, but I know it's true.
The night Maddie disappears, she seemingly set her TV on fire in the backyard. She's just gone. And 10 years later, she suddenly is back. Owen's like, oh my God, you're alive. Everyone thought you were dead. Does your mom know you're alive? Have you gone to the police? Maddie is like weirdly checked out. She looks like she's dissociated, and she explains about the pink opaque, that this TV show that they used to watch actually is the real world. And she's been there. Maddie has been there. She paid some burnout kid to bury her alive, and she woke up in the pink opaque. She woke up as Tara, the girl from the TV show, Tara and Isabel. And she tries to tell Owen, she calls him Isabel. She says, you are dying.
I knew I needed to come back here. I knew I needed to come back and save you. So that the show can continue. So that we can get to season 6.
And it's in this scene that we get, there's music in this scene. I am not great with music symbolism. It's one of those things that's kind of a blind spot for me. I'll be like crying in a scene and then I'll realize, oh, the music in this scene is what is so emotionally evocative to me. But I did notice that basically all of the music with vocals in it in this movie is female vocalists or feminine sounding voices. And this is especially pronounced in this particular scene where Maddie confronts Owen because they're at a bar where there's a concert and there's like a female performer and then another female performer. With the music, the feminine is in the background of everything, just like pink is in the background of a lot of scenes, but there's femininity in the background of everything. And in this scene where Maddie confronts Owen, there's this like screaming music, the turning point of the film, where you're directly confronted, where the femininity inside is screaming out. I feel like the Midnight Realm isn't even trying to be close to being real. Owen has a dad who only says one line in the whole movie.
Isn't that a show for girls?
Owen has a mom, and through her, he basically tries to ask for permission to be more feminine, And then she dies. And Owen doesn't seem to feel very much about it. Like, Owen doesn't seem to feel very strongly about anything except wanting to watch the pink opaque. Maddie has a friend at the beginning of the movie, and later, that friend just like decides not to be her friend anymore. Maddie says,
A secret agent sent here to make my life miserable, I swear.
Maddie, if only you knew. It does seem like that is what's going on. That the Midnight Realm is, first of all, a place of exile. You've been sent there. You only need to stay there long enough for Mr. Melancholy to kill you in the real world. So everything is real low detail. The dialogue options from the NPCs are not super complicated. Everything feels the same everywhere you go.
The trees look different, but everything else was exactly the same.
The people around you are either antagonists or they are indifferent to you. Like, there's a reason why to Maddie, Owen feels like the only other real person. And to Owen, Maddie feels like the only other real person, because they might be the only real people in the entire Midnight Realm. And honestly, I have this suspicion that, so Maddie was watching the pink opaque with this other friend every week. And I have a suspicion that her friend dumping her is kind of a way of the Midnight Realm and Mr. Melancholy to try to prevent her from getting close to the truth. Like, if her friend stops watching pink opaque with her, maybe she'll stop watching pink opaque and she won't come to the realization that she is trapped. So Mr. Melancholy himself, I want to touch on Mr. Melancholy. He's the big bad in the pink opaque. He's the man in the moon. And each week there's a different minion of his on the TV show. The Drain Lords, or Marco Polo, the Ice Cream Man. But Mr. Melancholy is the big bad.
He's always messing with time and reality.
If that ain't some true shit, I swear to God, like, if you just take it at face value, melancholy, the sadness in you, the dysphoria in you, it makes it to where, like, you don't know what's going on around you. Time is passing and it's just slipping past you.
Time wasn't right. It was moving too fast. And then I was 19, and then I was 20.
The years are just sliding past. So Mr. Melancholy is the personification, like, it couldn't be any more clear, the personification of dysphoria, depression, that it feels like an actual present force in your life that is stopping you from being able to be yourself or from being able to do the things that you want to do, that you're passionate about. At least that's his allegorical meaning outside of the movie. Inside the movie, Mr. Melancholy is a very real, very fucked up villain.
So you won't remember anything. You won't even remember that you're dying.
Very scary dude. Okay, real quick, I have to pause for a second. I'm pausing, I'm taking a step back. And I'm gonna tell you about this video's sponsor. This video is sponsored by my patrons. Direct support makes channels like this possible. I have seen so many other way bigger creators than me also pivoting toward fan funding, basically. So if you like what I'm doing here, please check out the Patreon. There are special perks. You do get little things that other people don't. You get your names read out at the end, but I just wanted to shout you out here as well and say, yes, this video is sponsored by that contribution. So thank you very much. Check out the links in the description if you want to support the show as well. This is my full-time job. And to kind of build on the point about unreality, there are several scenes in this movie where Owen or Maddie, usually Owen, does something super weird and everybody around him just like doesn't respond. At the beginning of the movie, and this, I really enjoyed this. This made me feel a little throwback to my own childhood. The parachute game, we called it field day when I was in school, and there would be this giant like parachute thing and all the kids would be in a circle and they'd hold the edges and they'd flip it up, let it catch a bunch of air, and then pull it down and like sit their butts on the edge of it inside the dome that was then created. And we had all kinds of different fun games that we would play when I was a kid, but in this movie they are just sitting there. Like, Owen like stands up and is looking around, and that is atypical play. There's a neurodivergence message in this movie too. Yeah, it's abnormal form of play, and that parachute is trans flag colors, BT dubs. And like at the very end of the movie, he's screaming and everybody around him just slumps over and sits there, and nobody responds when he apologizes later. Like, there is no question to me, the Midnight Realm is a fake place. It is a simulation. The simulation gets more and more simple as time goes on. As Owen stays in it, when Maddie tries to come get him, he thinks she's genuinely insane. He thinks this person wants to bury me alive. This person wants me to die. Just chooses to pretend like it's not happening, chooses to pretend. He says,
It's just like the dream once. It's not real. I don't think about it.
Isabel.
so he chooses to stay, but he has the same shitty job. It's all happy birthday over and over again, loud and cacophonous and drowning out your thoughts and drowning out you. He has asthma, allegedly, in the Midnight Realm, which just gets worse and worse and worse because he doesn't actually have asthma. He actually can't breathe. He is actually Isabel, and he actually can't breathe. And that feeling like you can't breathe, that feeling like you're not really yourself, that is dysphoria. The feeling like there's something real on the other side, and you feel trapped on this side of this impossible barrier. There is a scene where Maddie and Owen are talking on the school bleachers. Maddie is concerned that Owen is trying to get in her pants.
I like girls, you know that, right? I'm not into boys.
It's an opportunity for her to then ask Owen.
What about you? Do you like girls?
I think that I like TV shows.
And on the one hand, this is kind of like asexual representation. You could see it that way, where this is like, you know, I just don't feel that way toward anyone on the surface level. But he says something about like,
When I think about that stuff, it feels like someone took a shovel and dug out all of my insides, but I'm still too nervous to open myself up and check.
and that is what actually happened. Mr. Melancholy stole Isabel's heart and put it in a refrigerator, and now Owen feels empty inside. Like Owen accurately is able to understand. He says, I'm still too nervous to open myself up and check. And that's what we see later at the end of the movie. Like, full spoilers for the end of the movie. Maddie disappears when she tries to get him to come back with her, to be Isabel, to be the pink opaque. Owen decides to stay. The simulation gets simpler and simpler. Owen finally reaches a breaking point, and he screams.
You need to help me! I'm dying right now!
Then he goes into the bathroom, and he cuts his chest open, and he finds inside the static. Earlier in the movie, he vomited static. Earlier in the movie, he saw static. He ran from it over and over again, and finally he cuts himself open and he reveals what's inside, and he knows what's inside, which is that the pink opaque is real. His heart has been removed. He knows now that the Midnight Realm, that the world that he thinks is real, the memories he thinks that are real, are not real. And he puts his uniform back on, and he walks through the arcade apologizing to a bunch of NPCs who don't even look at him. I think the end of this movie is fucked up. Owen knows what is real. He chooses to stay as he is. He even says,
It was time for me to become a man.
he chooses to stay in that house. He says he has a family. We never meet them. Are they real? Even kind of? No, they're not. The only real person for Owen is Maddie, and he turned her away, and she left, and she went back to the pink opaque. She's trying to solve the mystery by herself, and Owen chooses to stay in the Matrix, effectively. He's one of those ones that it's like, oh, if you wait until they're too old, they won't come with you. They won't recognize what's going on, and they will choose and even defend the unreal. And we do know, even within the movie, that these allegorical things, it's not just the author said so afterward. It's not just, oh, Jane said it's a trans allegory. The movie shows us, when you look back at the memories of the pink opaque as a child, what actually was happening there were rituals of feminine initiation. They're talking about which boys they want to date. Maddie draws the tattoo of the pink opaque on the back of Owen's neck, and Owen can see static. And that scene, to me, looks like a trans femme bonding moment, or even just like a feminine bonding moment. It's almost like the holy ritual of a trans girl putting on another trans girl's makeup for the first time. And we do see in flashes later on Owen wearing a dress. So these episodes of Pink Opaque, and going to watch it, it's also feminine initiation rituals where they are trying on dresses and doing self-exploration and having these intimate, non-sexual moments. And I think that's the only thing that's real in this whole movie. These moments of learning about yourself and the death of your ignorance, the death of your innocence, and this friend that you have as a child, as a teenager, is trying so hard. She finally sees what's real. She finally knows who she is. She knows her real name. And she's coming to you and she's saying, Isabel, please, you know who you are and you know what you have to do. And you just have to have the courage to do it. She's trying to drag her along the finish line. And she won't. But what if? Owen asks himself, what if?
What if she was right? What if she had been telling the truth? What if I really was someone else? Someone beautiful and powerful? Someone buried alive and suffocating to death?
And that question of what if gets left on the table. He actively chooses to reject this reality. But we do see the message on the sidewalk. We've seen it from a couple different angles. The very opening scene, we see this a whole bunch of chalk art all over the road. But the message we didn't get to see at the beginning, the message that Maddie leaves, that Tara leaves for Isabel in the Midnight Realm is, there is still time. There is still time. There's always still time. You can reject it for 20 years. You can reject it for 30 years. There is always time for you to come out, for you to embrace the truth, for you to swim up to the surface and take your first breath. I just have to say really quick, a couple of little side notes that are more amusing than anything. One, I think it's really silly and kind of funny that they chose to change actors so we first meet Owen at age like 12, and then we see Owen at age 14. They changed actors between 12 and 14, but then they kept the same actor from ages 14 up to like 50 something. And that's just dumb. I don't know why. I just think that that's really funny. Maybe there's some kind of message to be said in there that, like, you know, you get stuck as the version that you are when you're 14 or something. I have no idea. I also just want to say that the pink opaque, as we see it in Owen's childhood, is real jacked up. And it seems like exactly the kind of weird shit that trans girls would like. Why are you so weird? I love trans girls, by the way. Sorry. The fact that you are freaky weirdos is what I love about you. Everybody's context, I'm non-binary. Just to be clear, sometimes people get confused about that. Okay, something that I want to touch on, because there is symbolism in every scene of this freaking movie. So, okay, we're just gonna, my notes are not that organized, okay? We're just trying things out. When Maddie gets buried in the ground in the Midnight Realm, you know, she's left, she's trying to live her life. She's not having a good time. She's struggling. She feels like everything sucks, and that feeling of like things are wrong feels even more wrong the further away she is from Owen. She says it feels like it's crazy to be buried in, to have this guy bury her.
I paid this burnout kid who used to hit on me in the food court $50 to bury me alive. He didn't know he was burying me alive. I bought a coffin, I dug a hole, I got inside, and I closed the lid. I said to myself, this is crazy. What you're doing is crazy. But another part of me knew that it wasn't, that it was survival, and that I didn't have much time.
It's like this is like deep instinctual magic. This is like what George R.R. Martin says about when Daenerys makes the dragon eggs happen. This is just intuitive magic. She doesn't actually know what she's doing. She's just following her instinct and a miracle occurs. This is kind of a similar thing to me where, Maddie is just like, she has this instinctual feeling she needs to go back into the ground. She needs to be buried alive. And I think that this single action in this movie is really kind of emblematic of what it's like to transition. It feels like this crazy thing. It feels like you're burying yourself. It feels like you're taking who you are now and laying it down in the dirt, and that you're gonna rise later as someone else, as someone new. And it's transformative, and it's life-changing, and it's life-saving. You feel like you're gonna die if you don't. Like, she has this feeling her whole childhood. She's like, if I stay here, I'm going to die. I don't know where this feeling is coming from, but she is so deeply in tune with that magic that she has. This is how trans people feel. Like, this is just a compulsion. Like, you feel like you're gonna die. You feel like you're not living your life. You feel like the years are just sliding past you. You're just like watching life happen to you, but you're not really participating. And so you take this leap of faith, this extraordinary, ridiculous, like kind of insane action. I don't need to tell you all how many people there are out there who say like, oh, you're mutilating yourself, you're cutting off healthy tissue, you're damaging your fertility permanently. Like all of this scaremongering, all of these warnings against what you're doing. You know, this is crazy. This is not fitting with reality. And the bravery that it takes, the courage that it takes, the faith, the blind faith sometimes that it takes to take that step, to move forward, to lay down your old life and pick up the new one, to claim it, to grasp it in your hands, to take your heart back, to fill yourself, to not be empty anymore. Like all of these things, like that is such a huge thing in this movie, and I don't even know if other people see it the same way that I do. That is such a monumental moment, and like the allegory that holds for what it is like to be trans is incredible. I'm kind of trying to figure out what Maddie's deal is as far as like, are we supposed to understand this person as being transmasculine? Because like, you know, Owen clearly assigned male at birth, and in the real world is Isabel. However, Maddie is female as far as I can tell. Like the actor Jack Haven is a non-binary person, so that's pretty cool. And like when we see Maddie as an adult, she has like short hair and it's mask mode. My outfit today is like kind of inspired by what Maddie wears when she gets back from the Pink Opaque, and it's very boy mode. So I was curious, like I'm basically just sticking to this as like they're both trans girls for the sake of consistency, but I do wonder a little bit if Maddie is supposed to be understood as being non-binary or a transmasculine individual, or is this just like who is it that she is discovering within herself? If Owen is discovering Isabel within himself, then Maddie, you know, she basically is saying, I am Tara. She doesn't call herself Tara, and Owen never calls her Tara, but it is obviously heavily implied when she says, like, I told you Maddie is not my name. I know who I am, and who I am is Tara, because that's the real world. So I don't know if it's the same exact, you know, with Owen, it's pretty clear, trans, feminine, whatever. You get the vibes from Maddie, almost like pre-transition trans man as a young person. Like, you can't even really see their chest, it's obscured. Or later, they're just like not wearing a bra, and so there's this kind of, I don't really know what's the deal with that. I don't know if there's a direct one-to-one in the same way that there is for Owen. Something that's really interesting is toward the end of the movie, Owen decides to watch the Pink Opaque again. Oh, you know, before my friend Maddie was recording them on Saturdays and then giving me the tapes. And so I had a bunch of VHS tapes, but now it's available for streaming. You know, so much time has passed that now Owen's like, yeah, I can watch it available for streaming. It's dramatically different. The girls are younger. The TV show itself is much more brightly lit and everything. And this is why you watch things with the captions on, babes. The first time I watched this movie, no captions, because I think it ruins the delivery of certain lines, because I'm sitting there reading instead of watching the movie. But you can also, when you have auditory processing disorder, you can miss things sometimes. So the second time I watched it, I turned on the captions. When Owen is watching the Pink Opaque, the captions say fake Tara. Like, he's so deep in the simulation that the show that is showing him what is real, like the ability to reach what is real, is less and less and less and less and less over time. Because even when he goes to watch the Pink Opaque, it's fake Tara. I can't describe to you how earth-shattering that is in the context of this movie, for it to be like, no. Like, you, for a second, you're like, oh wait, so did he just remember it differently when he was younger? Did he just go like, oh, I guess this was way scarier when I was a kid, you know? Like, is it actually that thing where when you're a child, things are just scarier and it's being filtered through all these different things that you're going through, and then as an adult, you're like, yeah, it wasn't really that big of a deal? Or is it just that, like, when you were a kid, whatever magic is obscuring you, or like your lack of ability to contact the psychic plane, or like maybe you were closer to the psychic plane as a child. When Maddie goes back and she becomes Tara, like, she says, I couldn't feel you on the psychic plane. I couldn't feel you. You just weren't there. So it's like, yeah, the older Owen gets, the further distanced he is away from the reality of the Pink Opaque. And the more and more and more he's like seeing things through this filter, and the more and more he's actually becoming like these NPCs. So yeah, when he watches it as an adult, that's not the actual show. Like, the Midnight Realm has twisted what the show used to be, which is actual events that actually happened outside of the Midnight Realm. And now it's like, well, Mr. Ice Cream, you can sell soup during the winter instead. Like, goofy as hail. Goofy as hail. So yeah, basically, all of this wheezing, the inability to breathe, the inability to connect with other human beings, all of this culminates in that scene that I spoiled earlier. Like I said, this movie happens in a way that feels out of joint, and so it feels only right for this video to be kind of out of joint. He can't make any real connections with anyone in the Midnight Realm. Just like it's really hard to make real connections with people before you come out as trans. Periodically, he has asthma and can't breathe, and it gets worse and worse and worse. No one seems particularly concerned for the fact that he can't breathe. No one seems particularly concerned with the fact that he doesn't make eye contact. You know, like I said, there's a neurodivergency kind of subplot, sub-theme, you could say, of lacking eye contact, of not speaking or like doing inappropriate things, like not understanding certain social cues that you could say is part of the experience of, you know, basically like, oh, this movie is about like growing up as an autistic trans girl who doesn't know what's wrong, who feels like a sense of wrongness but doesn't know what to do with that feeling or how to explore it. Genuinely, like, the difficulty breathing did bug me a lot through this movie because it's very visceral. You don't want to feel like you can't breathe, and watching someone else struggle to breathe feels bad. And it's because in the real sense of the movie, he's buried alive. His heart's been removed. Mr. Melancholy has to collect the hearts of 100 children. And more thematically, the longer you spend choking down these messages that you're being taught, you know, you're being taught all these masculine ideals, and you're being punished for participating in feminine things, like, it feels like you can't breathe. You can, but it feels like you can't. I look for messages sometimes in movies. In fact, I don't really like to watch things that feel like they don't have a clear message. And in this one, it's kind of hard to say what is the message when you understand it as trans allegory. Like, that not everyone can transition, that not everyone's gonna make it, that there are Maddies who are brave, there are Maddies who are willing to look the challenge right in its face and say, I'm here to meet this challenge. And there are people like Owen who know the truth, they know who they are, and they can't. They're too afraid. And I'm not saying, you know, I feel like I just kind of contrasted fear and courage as though they're opposites, but they're not. Courage is doing something afraid. Being afraid to do something and doing it anyway, that is what courage is, that is what bravery is. It's when you face down that fear and you meet it right where it is, and you say, this is not going to stop me. The main character of this movie succumbs completely to that fear, lets it rule his life, lets it limit him, lets it make decisions on his behalf. And I think we're supposed to understand that as tragic. You finally have the bravery to look inside, to check, to see where it is, like, where is your feeling of being attracted to someone? Where is your passion? Where is that thing inside of you? It's got to be somewhere in there. To open it up, to see what's inside, to know what's inside, to close it up, to button your shirt, to walk out and apologize to a bunch of automatons. I think it's profoundly tragic. I'm not sure how else to see it. But I am really interested in seeing what other people have to say about this. Mostly in this moment, I'm interested to see what you all have to say. This was heavily requested by the community, so I'm hoping that you have, you know, thoughts to share on this. Let me know how you thought about the ending. Let me know which part of the movie resonated with you the best. And if you enjoyed this video, please consider sharing it. Ooh, there's also a community post. If you go over to the posts channel, posts part of my channel, there's a poll, and you can tell me, do you think the pink opaque is real or not? Like this video, please. Subscribe if you are not subscribed. I will see you again in the future. Let me know what movie I should cover next. Happy Pride! Thank you to my patrons for supporting me, especially Pinky Bimbo, Nadia Yvette Chambers, Ing Marie, Ali T, Elevie Nobody, Bo E, Tiago Nascimento, Mersh Rolvog, In a Box, Sarah A, Michelle Frateroli, Wellington Marcus, Michelle Winter, Danielle McDonald, Suzanne Maynard, Jamie Jam, Nova, Logan, Kevin Young, Athiette, Desi Quiche, Amanda B, Celeste, Liam Hodgson, and Mr. Atheist.